Okay, my friends, I'm going to explain a couple things to you today that are going to be mind-blowing. This is from the moon, a rock that they got. This is from my collection. It is identical, and I know exactly what it is. It's a lung. This came from the moon. Now, if this is true, we can easily tell. And you see these little white flakes in here? That shows me that this is a lung that at one time was covered with fascia. Alright, this is a lung. That's the one I'm showing you in the microscope, and it's exactly identical, and I mean identical to the one that came from the moon. Now, this is another lung that's here, and you see all that fabric and stuff? That's the fabric we're going to be seeing on the one that's on the moon. The one that's on the moon had eroded this stuff away, but some of the fabric remains, the same as this one. This one, a lot of the stuff eroded away. I put water on it, that's why, just so that you could see all the blood in here. And I mean, it's just saturated with blood. So, it's time to take a whole new look at what came back from the moon. And I am literally the only one on planet Earth that knows what came back from the moon. They're just speculating, and they're not speculating correctly. Alright, so this is what we're looking at right there, and this is what it looks like with a little blood. And each one of these is what they call alveoli. It's a hole that's in the center of your lungs where the air passes through and you get your oxygen from. Now this is the fabric that's on every type of feldspar, because feldspar is nothing more than the membranes on tissues that separate one layer from the next. This is on a lung. It's called pleura on the lung, fascia in most places in your body. And there it is right there, that's that lung. The microscope looking down at that lung. And it's a lung, it's been DNA tested and CAT scanned and anatomists checked it out and all kinds of things. And it's saturated with red blood, and that's where I took it from. And I drilled inside of it, I didn't take it off the surface. I had 3 samples done, and they all came back as human DNA, very dense and excellent quality. Because it is. You can go inside and get blood out of these, literal blood. Okay, this is going to be a little hard to see, but there is a ton of little white spots all over that, and that is the interstitium, which is on the lung. It's called pleura, and those are the little fabrics, as I showed you before on the other lungs. And they're on every feldspar, and every feldspar is literally the membrane that separates either the lung or the heart or the kidneys or whatever it is from the other side of the nasty stuff. You got a membrane separates you and only allows good things in and keeps the bad things out. That is identical to this. You see this little thing here? You see that little thing there? You see all the holes here? You see the shape of it? You see the shape of it? It's identical. I'm the only one that can comment on these moon rocks. I understand them fully, and I know what the actual composition of them is, and I know what to look for, and these can absolutely 100% for certain be either confirmed or denied as being what I say they are. I know I've shown you this, but that's where all the red blood, I broke this little piece off so you could see inside all the red blood, and that's the main cavity where the pulmonary, air flows into your lung. That's what it is. Now, and they have a bunch of other ones. They're all the same as mine. And don't tell me there can't be body parts on the moon, because Mars is the same as the Earth. It's literally made of body parts. That's the Mars crab, which is nothing more than an artery. And all of these little arms of the crab are blood vessels that feed the tissues, which these are sarcomeres. If you do any, if you've been following my research, you should fully understand what you're looking at here. This is the feeder that feeds all this muscular activity. And this is from NASA, and this is up on Mars. All right, and they also have the Mars Morse code and the Mars the Mars blueberries. Here's the blueberries. All right, these are nothing more than little tiny tendon balls, or actually they're in interstitium balls. I'll show you that in a second. And the Earth is covered with them as well. They call them the Moki marbles. And underneath is the basement layer of that membrane. The membrane, let's say, that thick, and these balls are all in there with all these little straps, and it all eroded away, and you ended up with the Mars blueberries. We have them called the Moki marbles. Now, here they are again, This is interstitium. This is the gooey stuff where you pinch it together here and pinch it together here and it's stretched here, just like you can do to your skin. The straps stretch and then they come back. If they're in good shape, they're all running like this. This is pinched and pinched. This is from a dead gigantic creature on Mars. And it has eroded away because it's a dusty environment. There's not the kind of moisture there is here. These are those little black balls, and these are the straps. And that's from interstitium, which is the layer in your body that separates you from two layers. I'll show you, and how big it is on Earth as well as there. That's what you were looking up at Mars. That's the interstitium, and it was stretched in a couple of areas where even the balls were just left and the straps were eroded, and other areas it was pinched together. That's it right there. Now, is it on Earth? Yes, it is. And here is in Hunston, I believe it's called Hunston Beach or whatever, in the United Kingdom. And these are those straps and balls. They're in here and they're just eroding away. The straps and the flappy stuff turns into mud. That's what red clay is in mud. Is the flap is flesh. And then of course the white stuff is the skin and or the mucosa, and it just erodes down. The black balls are the heavy duty jobbers. They don't erode, just like I showed you on Mars. Exactly the same. You found some black balls here and there, and then the straps were gone. Well, here it's just washed away, so everything's gone and the balls just fall. Okay, listen to this. They want us to help NASA find clouds on Mars. They claim to have seen them, and they want us to look for them in their stuff. Now, listen to this. NASA scientists hope to solve a fundamental mystery about Mars' atmosphere. You can help. They've organized a project called Cloud Spotting on Mars that invites the public to identify Martian clouds using the citizen science platform Zooniversed. Well, I've Zooniversed, and nobody will respond to me from NASA or JPL or Johnson Space Center or any of them, because I have the evidence to prove just exactly what I just showed you. And it's just too much for them. They can't handle the truth. All right, I am going to try to explain this for the last time. I have shown creatures on this earth that are just stunningly, enormously large, and I can't account for where they came from, but I can account for the formation of the earth. It was at one time an accretion disk. That means a flat plane. Yes, I agree with that. It is not a flat plane now. We have gone to space, we have gone to the moon, we have gone to Mars, all of these things. I study this very, very, very carefully. Don't tell me we haven't done these things. I know factually we have. And I can support the evidence, and I can show that all of the things they're saying about the solar system and about our past and our history is totally wrong. And I can say that yes, the Earth at one time was a flat accretion disk called chaos, swirling. That's why they scream at me, oh, no, we're fixed, we don't move. No, like hell we don't move. Just stop and get out of your nonsense mode. Look from the space station. Don't disregard, there are all cartoons up there. No, it's not. This has been destroying my research for over 10 years. And I'm just telling you, it upsets me. Now, please don't do it. But I can agree. There's no way to account for the creatures that are on this earth. No way. The earth is round now. It's spinning. We're cascading through space. We're charging up. That's what's creating our problems with our atmosphere. All of these things I have explained. And I can explain that the earth was flat one time. And I can see there could have been ice walls. And I believe the center of the earth is a black hole and is hollow. Yes. And if you look up Admiral Byrd's statements about it, he also said he was in there. And there is another bunch of people living in there. There's another civilization in there that is upset at us for making bombs and blowing each other up. They contacted him right after World War II, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and after we shot down their Flugerans, which they call their flying craft, in Roswell. and told him, you guys are making big mistakes. They took over his craft and brought it inside the Earth. Look up Admiral Byrd's secret diaries. He was forced to remain silent, but he left the secret diaries. All right, this is by somebody called Plasma Ben. This goes way back to 2008 when they were up in the space mission and they were spinning water in space in zero gravity.
Here we have a rotating sphere of water about 25 millimeters in diameter, and inside this sphere are a whole bunch of little tiny air bubbles. And
all right, this would be virtually the same as chaos in space. You can have all kinds of particles spinning, and they're congealing, and it would send the blankness to the center. Watch. Now, the only reason it's not one big ball in the center is because they put in some surfactants, they call it, which make them ball up into little balls.
We will see what the angular acceleration due to rotation does to these air bubbles as a function of time.
There's your poles.
What you're observing are the bubbles moving to the center axis of rotation. As a function of time, they will form this rather tightly packed bubble core. These bubbles are kept from coalescing from a small amount of added surfactant to the...
All right, you hear what he just said? That should just be a blank. And that's what they say. The center of our Earth is a hollow. That's what Byrd said. Now, he was a Medal of Honor winner. He was one of the most honest people on the face of the planet. And they forced him into silence. Now, he said that it was just a green, lush, growing area down there, and they sucked him right into the Earth. And that's what all the ancient texts talk about, as being something under the surface of the Earth, another realm.
The water. Here we have a rotating sphere.
Terra firma. That's where all of the creatures' bodies are. I'm telling you, that's what they are. I can't account for it, but that's what it is.
Filled with bubbles and tea leaves, and as expected, the bubbles go to the center and the tea leaves go to the outside edge, along with a few chunks of orange peel.
That's not much than what we got. Much different.
A rotating sphere with bubbles and chunks from breaking up a small vitamin tablet, and the bubbles go to the center core, but the vitamin chunks seem to stay in their location dispersed through the sphere, and from this we deduced that the vitamin chunks have a density near that of water.
Yes, I agree. Vitamins are nothing more than chemicals. All right, once you add air pockets into the chemicals, like in leaves and tea leaves and so forth, they become lighter and they come out to the surface. They float on the surface. All right, how cool is that? Now, I have shown
of little tiny
very well that this is what will happen to anything in zero gravity. And I have also shown the Russians created a black hole in space as they had plasma, which is charged particles, in a vacuum chamber in space. It automatically, just without even spinning, turned into a black hole. And that's basically what we have here, only it's not ignited because there's just not enough mass. The Earth is not massive enough to kick off like the sun does. All right, the sun is just massive enough to just be illuminated, and that's what gives us these particles flowing down to us. The Earth is just not massive enough, so it doesn't scrub hard enough, but it's getting there, and it's getting there very quickly. And that's what's causing our scrub and all of the turmoil that's going on around the Earth, all of these vortexes and hurricanes and tornadoes and water in torrential places and dryness in other places, dependent upon how the moisture sweeps across the landscape. This is a very dynamic situation, and we have just missed literally everything. See, those are those milky marbles. They have that, like the Mars blueberries. Geologists call these concretions. These are these interstitium balls, same as the milky marbles, the same as the Mars blueberries, and that is the same as the basement layer that I showed you on the Mars blueberries. You see that? That's exactly what's up on Mars. A Mars crab is one just like this, and it would have had legs coming into that red area that fed the mussel. This is just in my shop. It's much smaller, obviously, so you don't see those sarcomeres. But let me show you what sarcomeres look like. That's absolutely no question muscle. That's a tendon piece, and right up there is a socket for a bone ball, a hip or a shoulder or something. This is a mountain on Earth. That's not a sedimentation and erosion. That is red blood coming out of there and has eroded out of here. That's the weak stuff, the hematite. The magnetite is the black blood, and it sets up pretty solid. The rest is connective tissue, which is not a bloody muscular tissue. It is a strappy, tendinous fiber. Remember I said there's little straps and so forth, the sarcomeres? Here's what they are here, and they pull and pinch together. There's bands and straps that erode away, creating those cracks. You see this? This is the actual sarcomeres themselves. This is a muscle. They pinch together. They are pinched together. Here they are separated. And then they erode right on these lines. So you don't forget, there's the crab right there, and I believe right above it is the vein that returns the blood. It doesn't have legs. And right below is all the sarcomeres. Here they are right there. I just showed you. These are the bands that pull in and out. These are connective tissue. Here's the crab right there, feeding all of those little connective tissues. And, well, actually the blood muscle that has eroded away. And that's what all this muscle is, and all this erosion here is really just red flesh. It's just like it would be clay on Earth, but there's not enough moisture there to make it into red, dirty clay. So you get this dusty red planet look, which is red as the blood. All right, so I have done my work, and I'm just asking, please, I've been assaulted for 10 years by flat Earth people on one side that just want to destroy my work because I talk about space. And then on the other side, the academics use the flat Earthers to attack me, saying, oh, there's no such thing as God, there's no creation, there's none of this stuff, I'm just a crazy person. Look at all the people that follow him. They think the Earth is flat and there's nothing but cartoons in space. So please stop. I'm just asking you to be polite. That's all I'm asking. I am presenting evidence. All right, you're looking at the books that were written, and I agree, at one time the Earth was a disk, a flat accretion disk spinning. Chaos. And his light was on the waters, or whatever it says, and then let there be light. Light is nothing more than energy. You have no energy, you have nothing. It's exactly what was written, but then I go into Gaia and Typhon and Uranus, you know, all the gods are the planets and the moons. One planet has 82 different moons, and every one of them is the name of a god. Well, cancel that previous bulletin. Saturn's moons, they have 82 moons for Saturn, and a lot of them are the name of gods. But if you take Iapetus and Mimas and all of these other ones, and I can actually show they are body parts. Watch this. If you look closely, almost every moon you will find has a huge crater with a little dimple in the middle, which is what a tendon ball is, and it has all these little scruffy little things. They're not necessarily impacts, because all the tendon balls have the same thing. This breaks right off, and you have these stalks. Sometimes you have two little bits coming out of here, and sometimes one. Sometimes you have two of these spots. It depends on where it was in the body. Some of them have ridges around them, which is Iapetus has what they call equatorial ridge. And that is what allows you to do, I think, in the ball and socket of the shoulder and so forth, the rotator cuff. It allows for that kind of movement with that kind of a ridge, and it doesn't pull out. Sometimes they do pull out. Let me show you one that pulled out. Remember this cord? Remember this? I'll show you one that did pull out. You see that? That's a tendon mat. And that's the strap and that's where it attaches to the ball. The ball should be anchored there and then not pulled out. That is an injury. That is sore, very sore. Arches National Park has the same thing, only they're gigantic, sticking way out from the wall there. I can't find it. You see, all these are about tendons. All this is tendons. Tendon straps, giants. There's one that says sticking way out from the wall. Tendon on Mars, tendon fibers. Look at this. You see this? These are tendon fibers. You see that? That's what this is. These are little bundles of fibers. Everything we heard about the Earth is totally wrong. Look at how many things I have just about tendons. Here it is right here. Look at this. There's Arches National Park. Look at the size of these tendon balls. And that's one of the ones that was just, I showed you, was ripped out in an electron microscope. And that's the strap. There's another one right here. See the center core? And that ran down to this one. And they're all over. There's more, because they're everywhere. And they're all over the Earth, and a lot of them have eroded. You can't really tell what they are. They look at them and they say, ooh, look at that. That's all wind and this and that. No. This was all biology, my friend. And it appears that everywhere in the universe, it is all biology. Everything I have found is biology. Avi Loeb should talk to me. I've tried to contact him. He says a Oumuamua, which is a comet, looks like a spacecraft. It's a finger. I've had anatomists look at that, and I understand it fully well. This is actually the grip skin is peeling away from the tip of the finger. That's the apical tuft, which all of these little straps tie in. This right here is the strap of a tendon that runs between the joints so that you can make your finger do that. It locks in here, it locks down here, it locks down here. That's the vein, which is the black blood. That's the artery, which is the red blood. And that runs right over the top of your knuckle. That runs right over the top of your knuckle, over the top here. And that's Oumuamua, and Avi Loeb should get a hold of me. I'm just tired of doing this over and over, day after day after day, and have nobody pay any attention whatsoever. Comet 67P, the same thing. Comet 67P is like a tendon enthesis. All right, and look at the size of it compared to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where the bone would have run up. This is where the muscle starts. That's the tendon enthesis itself, which I show you all those tendon balls. That's the stalk. And where do I show you this? Here's something that, where is it? Well, this is just all the little blood vessels shooting up because it smells like steak in space. And these are other blood vessels. There's one here. This shows the comas. That one there is the artery. These are the little puppy blood vessels. That's the artery. And there was another one here somewhere really good. There it is right here. You see that? That's a tendon, a muscle bundle or a tendon bundle. These are little flaps. Remember I showed you those little straps running for the tendons? There they are right there. And then the muscle would have started right up here. But the muscle's weak, it rolls away. This is the same as we saw all over those other tendons in space, the moon balls. We're in a new world, and if we don't look at it, we're just walking around in circles. The people that you're paying for your education are afraid to address the truth. It's as simple as that. We're paying for NASA and JPL and Fermilab, and I show them these things over and over and over, which scientifically, at least, need to be discussed and examined, and it's refused because of I wrote a book called Minds in Collision, which was a takeoff on Velikovsky, who wrote Worlds in Collision. It was #1 on the bestseller list. For 11 weeks in a row, academics forced the publisher to remove it because they were so offended by his work. And his work turns out now to be very, very, very credible. So I felt that I was incumbent on him to write this book, to keep him, you probably never heard his name, because they just laugh, call them a crazy person. Well, they should do the same thing to me. I don't think I'm crazy. If you think I'm crazy after what I just showed you, then you got an issue. You belong in the educational system.